Sanctuary City Mayor Eric Adams is busing illegals to upstate New York. And what happens when they get there? Homeless veterans are being kicked out of hotels to make room for the illegal immigrants.
It's a total embarrassment. It's a slap in the face to veterans, to citizens of New York and this country who are really being cast aside to allow for asylum seekers to come here.
We know what the intention was. Second-class citizens are veterans. Primary, most celebrated citizens who get all the benefits, non-citizens. Fraudulent asylees into the United States.
A few moments later.
All right, before we go, a little update on a story we brought you this week about homeless vets being displaced from hotels so that illegals could move in. Turns out the group behind the claim made it up. We have no clue as to why anyone would do such a thing, but we'll bring you any updates should they come.
The people at Fox News have a problem. They got to start getting stories right. Now, they just paid $787 million to settle a lawsuit about lying, and now they're at it again, straight up lying to the audience. Let's talk about it. So this controversy begins because Fox News ran this story about homeless veterans being booted from New York hotels to make room for migrants. And this story obviously angered a lot of conservatives. Here's what Fox News said.
Right, 20 homeless veterans have been kicked out of an upstate New York hotel to make room for migrants being bused there from New York City. The CEO of the YIT Foundation, which is helping to house those vets, tells the New York Post, whether you agree with asylum seekers being here or not, we can't just ignore these veterans that are in our charge that we are supposed to protect. We need to put them first.
The Biden administration, Governor Hochul, and the city of New York, they all have a part in this. And it's a total embarrassment. It's a slap in the face to veterans, to citizens of New York and this country who are really being cast aside to allow for asylum seekers to come here. At the end of the day, when it comes to this particular situation, you had combat veterans who are homeless, who were told to get out of their hotel after one day. Sharon and her team scrambled to find them locations, and right now what we've tried to do is let those veterans know we appreciate them. We're embarrassed by what's happened to them, but we have their backs.
I mean, and these are our nation's heroes. These are our veterans. These are the best among us who deserve a helping hand. They put their lives on the line, and now they're getting kicked out of hotel rooms. And I can't help but notice the contrast when you have a 24-year-old, a veteran, had been in Afghanistan, kicked out of his hotel room, as an Afghan national on the terror watch list is crossing the border in San Diego. So you're an Afghan national on the terror watch list, just scurry across our border, no big deal. We'll let you in. But the guy who fought in Afghanistan will kick you out of your hotel room. The media, though, they are so culpable in this. The Washington Post, the big headline was "No surge." And then you read down 5 paragraphs down in the article, and even they admit unlawful crossings top 10,000 a day here, highest levels ever. Highest levels ever, and your headline is "No surge." That just defies common sense, Washington Post.
Well, politics come into play here, and maybe money. One of the things we looked at last hour was the fact that it takes about $88 to really care for those veterans at a hotel, or anybody at that hotel in upstate New York. And what we found out was that the city was paying about $190 per illegal immigrant. So there might be a little cash. We can't prove that, but you can do the math. You can figure it out on your own.
Now, everything that you just heard is a lie. The whole story is made up. No homeless veterans are getting kicked from hotel rooms for migrants. That is totally made up. But what makes it even worse for Fox News is that later on during this whole charade, they said they independently verified the story.
A group of veterans, some suffering from PTSD, may now be victims of New York's migrant busing battle. Fox News confirms 20 homeless vets just got kicked out of several hotels in the suburbs north of Manhattan to make room for those migrants getting bussed in from the city.
So now, just to be clear, the story is fake. It's phony, and you'll see why it's phony and fake just in a second. But Fox News ran this story on 15 of their shows. 15 of their shows, they ran this story, and they told people it was true. And it even made it to Congress. Check this out. Todd Young from Indiana, and he's going to now tell this story on the Senate floor to show you. Now remember, the story's a lie. The story's a total lie. This U.S. senator is going to tell the story on the Senate floor. Listen to this crap.
In New York City, where illegal migrants have displaced homeless veterans in hotels, Mayor Eric Adams said, quote, "The president and the White House have failed this city."
Story got so big that the mayor had to come out and say, hey, this isn't true. This is just made up.
Stories about how homeless veterans are being displaced by migrants. Is that true or is that false?
It is really troubling, and I'm asking our local and state authorities to investigate what happened here. It was clearly fabricated, and it was a conscious decision to fabricate it from what we are getting.
Now, this woman, Sharon Tony Fitch, is the one who lied to everyone, claiming that this was true. She even went as far as to make fake receipts and hire actors to pretend that they were veterans and they got kicked out of the hotel. This story is crazy, and Fox News bought it hook, line, and sinker. Not because they followed through with the story and investigated, it's because they wanted it to be true. Here's what essentially happened in this story.
God bless them, the Mid-Hudson News reported the story was a lie, according to the hotel that was accused of forcing the veterans out. The paper and the hotel debunked a purported receipt for the veterans' rooms provided by Assemblyman Marr as a poorly edited fake. The hotel manager said there were no veterans at the hotel, none were kicked out, and no other guests were told to vacate. So you might think, okay, maybe they just invented the whole thing, but no, it gets better. Because the following day, the paper reported that several homeless men, not veterans, had come forward to say they had been recruited for this scam. They were told they were going to meet with an elected official for a discussion on homelessness and were each promised $200 along with food and alcohol. After eating and drinking at a diner, the CEO of the nonprofit told them they were going to a meeting where she would be explaining how they had been kicked out of a hotel to make room for migrants and coached them to, and I quote here, to act like we were the veterans that had been displaced. The CEO admitted to the Mid-Hudson News that she provided the men from the shelter to appear as if they were displaced vets, but denies offering to pay them. According to three of the men who spoke to the Times-Union, they never received that money they were promised. Quote, everything was a scam. She didn't have the intention of paying us anything. Assemblyman Marr says he was duped by the nonprofit as well. And now, well, Fox News having gone.
So now Fox News has a major problem. They've just defamed this company, right? They've just essentially lied about this whole situation. And it's an obvious lie. The receipts are fake. The veterans were fake. The whole story was fake. So now they have to tell the audience that they just essentially had a made-up story and they were pushing it for a couple of days on all their shows. So here is their retraction of the story.
Update you on a report last week claiming that upstate hotels in Orange and Rockland counties, including the Crossroads Hotel, evicted a group of homeless veterans. We've since learned that veterans advocates misled local officials, and it now turns out those eviction claims were false. We want to update you on the story, make sure the record was set straight, and we'll get more to you as we get it.
All right, before we go, a little update on a story we brought you this week about homeless vets being displaced from hotels so that illegals could move in. Turns out the group behind the claim made it up. We have no clue as to why anyone would do such a thing, but we'll bring you any updates should they come.
So now everybody's updated the story. The New York Post went from this headline, homeless vets are being booted from New York hotels to make room for migrants, to now they're saying this. Longtime advocate lied about vets getting kicked out of New York hotels. So my question to you, do you think Fox News did enough to clarify this story? Remember, they showed this on 15 different shows. And now you have two extremely quick, hey, we got the story wrong, but we'll update you later. I'm thinking this retraction needs to be played on each one of the shows that they said this story on, where they caused people to get outraged. Matter of fact, I think that senator needs to go back to the Senate floor and say, hey, this stuff I was telling you about the homeless vets, that was all wrong. It was a lie. It was made up. But that's my opinion. Let me know how you feel in the comment section. Do you still trust Fox News? Because they've gotten caught pushing a lot of lies in a short amount of time. And these are just what we're catching. Just imagine the lies they're telling us that we don't catch. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you next time. Peace.